This is the irony of the situation, Tavis. Every other group that benefits from affirmative action, African Americans, Latinos, Asian Americans, Native Americans, they all vote consistently in favor of affirmative action. The only group that directly benefits, that doesn't tend to vote for affirmative action, has been white women. Even if we could, by some miracle, roll out the Founding Fathers, say once a year, to consult them about some of the pressing issues of the day. Let's say, what do you have to say about the constitutionality of ban on stem cell research? What do you have to say about privacy and the internet? What do you have to say about the financing of public education? What do you have to say about ownership of embryos? We wouldn't think that's a logical thing to do. We wouldn't think it's a sensible thing to do. And we certainly wouldn't think that it's any kind of protection against arbitrariness on the part of the interpreter. We just wouldn't do it. People are valued based on what they do, what their accomplishments are, that people are all to be given equal opportunity. There's no compelling evidence that the Founding Fathers themselves believed in originalism. So if you're an originalist taking up an originalist position, you're in a bit of a bind, because the people that you're holding up didn't even themselves think that they should be held up throughout all time. To the extent that Michelle Obama's story is framed as playing by the rules, without acknowledging that some of the rules that she played by were made possible by affirmative action, undermines, in fact, the utility of affirmative action. So Michelle's story is a story that can be told by millions of Americans of color and millions of women. It's about policies that created opportunities for people who were prepared and qualified. Well, when the best example of that can't actually say, and therefore this is why we need to support anti-discrimination, why we need to advance these programs, why we need to protect them, then you've undermined the very policies that made possible what you saw on television. The very fact that we are debating whether race is over just because someone who happens to be the president is black tells us that race is not over.
Hi, I'm Kim, and I am a beneficiary of affirmative action.
So I submit that people of goodwill should recoil from the bait and switch tactics. They should recoil from any kind of argument that frames this solely in terms of racial preference and solely in terms of one group. I would submit to you that the proposal to eliminate affirmative action repudiates King's call that day standing in front of the statue of Abe Lincoln to make good on its promises of fairness, freedom, and equality. It substitutes that soaring oratory for a simple three-monkey solution to our problems.
But this information has yet to be integrated in a way that's accessible, that constitutes a common sense counter-narrative to the deployment of post-racialism. And one of the reasons why there is such a blockade, I want to say, around this information is even people who support race-based interventions still hold the same idea that these are preferences.
Not all frames are created equal. They're blue chip frames.
America is a free society. In a free society, hard work pays off and people get what they deserve.
Those are meta frames. They kind of keep on giving. It was a frame that linked up preachers and lawyers to sanitation workers and maids. It linked up people from the north, people from the south, whites, non-whites, people along the same frame. That is, that there was something deeply amiss about American society, that it was not natural, and that interventions to change these outcomes, disparities, discrimination, were not only not against the American value, but they were the quintessential embodiment of American values.
This is the famous March on Washington. Martin Luther King big I Have a Dream speech. Then they went to President Kennedy's office to talk about the civil rights movement. So these are the leaders of the civil rights movement. There are no women here. So it's as though racism has nothing to do with women. Yeah, no, Rosa Parks is nowhere around.